everybody, I'm the Vacuuminator.
I'm Buster.
And this week in Toku, we're going to be discussing Ultraman Blazar, Kamen Rider Gotchard, and Osama Sentai King-Ohger. I couldn't be bothered to get free things together because I'm busy doing other shit today because it's a bank holiday in the United States. Anyways, Buster, how are you doing?
This weekend's been crazy in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've seen it. Yeah, I went to the Shrek 2 Retold premiere.
Good for
and
you.
And that was a experience and a half.
And
a good experience and a half.
And then Steve Harwell died last night.
Yeah, that was unfortunate timing. We already knew he was in the hospital. That he's he doesn't have much left to live by the time we all went there, and I was people were like, oh man, this is kind of terrible news.
Yeah. I'm going back and forth, but I've been threatening to do a Smash Mouth video for years.
I mean,
it might happen next week instead of what I announced.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I feel like you already look like Smash Mouth, so it's.
I like how you say I look like Smash Mouth when we're talking about the guy who you're saying I look like.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Steve Harwell. I hope your family's doing okay right now.
Yeah.
And also fuck CM Punk.
Yeah, that was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Literally the day a YouTuber released a video on the AEW game, CM Punk gets fired.
It's been a wild weekend for everything, including Tokusatsu. We got quite a bit of Tokusatsu to get into here today. But before we do that, we got to remind all of you how to help us out in the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell in order to enable notifications so that you get notified whenever we post new content here at youtube.com/Modular Media. Also, follow us on the Twitter. That's at the Modular Media, Bluesky at modularmedia.bsky.social, TikTok at Modular Media, and Tumblr at Modular Media. Engage with all that shit. Get the name Modular Media out there in the world so that maybe one day we could make at least a couple dollars off of this thing. Anyway, news. First story this week, we got a reveal of a Hiya Toys exquisite mini Muto figure. This is continuing on with their legendary Godzilla 3 3/4 inch roughly scaled figures. It's essentially going to be the Muto design from that first legendary Godzilla design, which I don't know if we've ever talked about this, Buster. How do you feel about the Mutos?
I have never watched the 2014 Godzilla.
You should. It's there are large swaths of it that are boring, but there's enough interesting bits in there that I would never say it's entirely worth skipping. There's good bits about it, and one of those things is the Mutos. They look kind of generic, but they've got just enough creativity in them that they don't make me just roll my eyes at American attempts at tokusatsu like other previous American kaijus do, and there's actually some cool lore to them. So I think it's cool that a company is going back and making new figures of them in the year of our Lord 2023. However, I don't think it's cool that these figures are roughly 6 inches tall, and they're going to be $51 plus however much you got to pay to import them from China.
Damn. I will say, design-wise, these look like you were mentioning about American attempts at kaiju. This looks like an in-between between the traditional Toho kaiju and what Legendary does, you know?
Yeah, it's just slightly more generic than the kaiju you get in Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the Mutos. I don't like them enough to pay $51 plus shipping for them, but maybe you do. So if you do, hey, pre-order links are already up at Big Bad Toy Store at Entertainment Earth, so get on that. And also get on the groove of, oh my god, he's back, everybody. Daigo's back. I refuse to call him the other thing, except when I'm talking about the name of the suit. King Kyoryu Red has been officially revealed via a frickin' yudo figure. We don't have a good shot of the suit yet, but we have a full, glorious shot of the yudo, and it looks about how we expected it to. It's King wearing a frickin' King-Ohger set of armor on his chest.
I like this. Now, I am one of the weird people who, like, I love kit bashes. So I am, like, down for this. It is basically, like, what I expected. It's, like, a lot of nice detail. It's, like, I think it blends the Kyoryuzin and King-Ohger design philosophies well. I think my
Yeah.
only critique
I
based
should
on this...
also clarify for audio-only listeners who aren't going to look at the news links, which are down in the video description as they are every week. It's not his base suit that the King-Ohger armor is over. It's Carnival.
Yeah, and honestly, Carnival's my favorite of the Kyoryuger suits, so I'm okay with that. Like, I think the only thing that really sticks out to me is the helmet, but I'm like, why would you change the helmet? It's a good helmet, so, yeah.
I've never cared for the Kyoryuger suits. They grew on me a bit during the first season of Dino Charge, but they're not like my favorite, and they're just kind of okay in my mind, but I never really cared for Carnival. So looking at this, I'm like, assuming this is what the suit looks like, you did the best with what you had, and oh fucking K, let's see the scripts already.
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, like, from what I heard, the all the Kyoryuger stuff isn't getting releasing till, like, mid-October, so we got time before King comes in.
we got time before the reign of King.
Yeah. Hey, you said the word, you said the thing you said you weren't gonna say.
No! Anyways, we also got a roleplay toy. He's gonna have a special red version of the Kyoryuger sword that's gonna be like the King-Ohger swords for him. It's coming with a brand new Judenshi that's probably gonna make a new transformation sound when you put it in. And also, as was rumored for months and months, fully articulated Kyoryujin, everybody, get hype.
Yeah, I like that design, so it's nice to see that it has an actual good toy for once.
Yeah,
Also,
I mean,
like,
I had the 5-inch figure version of Kyoryujin back during Dino Charge, and that was a pretty solid figure if you wanted a good articulated version of that design. But this is clearly going to be superior. It looks really solid if you're a big fan of that mecha.
and I will say, like, on the roleplay toy, I think I don't know what's with Kyoryuger repaints, but I really love Kyoryuger's repaints. Like every time they've repainted an item from that show, it's looked phenomenal. Like,
interesting, because I never loved the Gaburicaliber in the first place, and this is just that dipped in red, so it's not doing much for me.
I just like big dinosaur heads.
That's fair. Big dinosaur heads make brain go burr.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about Bandai really grubbing for money on this one, because the high-spec belt straps for the DX Gotchard driver got announced and went up for pre-order this week. And yeah, this is exactly what they did halfway through Geats. They're just doing it up front now. You can pay like however much it is, like $20-$50, I'd imagine, to get adult-sized belt straps for your DX Gotchard driver, even though if you're smart, you'll just wait for a Memorial Edition.
Thank you. I got nothing.
Hang on. All right, moving on. Oh yes, this. The Shogukan modeling project, formerly known as Super Mini Pla, has released a teaser image for their next release, which is extremely obvious. It's Tetraboy. It's the silhouette is Tetraboy. He's standing next to the other two Jetman mechs. They're doing it. They're finishing the job. You're going to be able to own a complete jet machine arsenal in Shogukan modeling project format if you so desire.
Yeah, I do like Jetman's mech. They're like that great in between like Showa and Heisei in terms of like Sentai mechs, and I love that.
Again, they're not my favorite, but like I do appreciate the sort of classicness of them. And I remember Tetra Boy being very fun in the show just because it always looked like the suit actor was having a good time hopping and bopping around. So
yeah, and I love how it turns into a big cannon.
Yeah, good that Tetra Boy's finally getting a new toy after all these years, because I don't think he's ever had one since the original DX.
Yeah, good on him.
But speaking of after all these years, after all 5 of them, we're getting a new set of ride watches, everybody, except it's not really after 5 years, it's more like after 3 years, because they stopped making ride watches about halfway through 01. But
no, they did a Saber one.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did a Saber one, so it's more like it's only been like fucking 2 years since we've had these. But hey, in case you wanted more things that are supposed to look like watches, but more so look like random car parts that have Kamen Rider faces on them and make sounds, they're doing a fifth anniversary ride watch set that's going to be Revy, Vice, Gotchard, and Geets, and also just today they announced that they're going to be doing super best releases for the Jiku driver, two of the upgrade items that I don't remember the fucking names for, and if you buy all that together, you get like a special variant of the Gotchard Ride Watch.
Neat. Here's the thing, though. I actually own Zi-O merch. Those ride watches break easy, and I don't know if they will fix them, so...
Yeah, I've never been a fan of ride watches, honestly.
I like them on the design and like holding them, but like the sound parts, they always short circuit eventually, and that's just annoying.
See, I think it's a good idea, and the sounds were always cool in the show. I just think the toys are way too bulky and impractical to be fun from looking at reviews. I've never actually held them personally.
Yeah, I'm holding my Evil ride watch right now because of course I have that, and I like this thing. This one doesn't have sound. It's a Gashapon one, but like I do like the ride watches as toys, as like electronics. They're a bit messy. That's my take.
Makes sense. But, hey, speaking of big electronic toys, Ultraman Blazar's finally getting one of those. He's going to be getting a new weapon in upcoming episodes called the Electrifying Blade. It's essentially like a black and teal sword with a freaking... What is that? Is that like a Q-Tama in the middle there?
Looks like a spinny thing.
Yeah, it looks like he spins that to power it up.
Yeah.
Also, unless this is just purely for promotional purposes, looks like they're going back on their no old kaiju in this series thing, because Pigmon's in one of these scans.
Yeah, well, like, here's the thing. We've already kind of known not every kaiju will be, like, brand new, and then we've already seen an old kaiju here and there. I just don't register Ultra Kaiju, so I don't point them out as well as everyone else has.
That's fair, and I just don't know the franchise. So unless it's one of the big famous ones, like Pigmon, I don't know to go like, hey, look at that guy.
Yeah, and I do like this is kind of nice coming off this week. I like how like all of Blazar's upgrades are just additions to his arsenal and not like new forms. Like that's still a way to sell some toys while still like not going only having the one base form. It's cool.
Yeah, it feels very early Heisei Kamen Rider. Like even the design of this sword kind of reminds me of, I can't remember what it's called, but like one of the roleplay toys from Agito looks kind of like this.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, this does look like an Agito sword.
But that's pretty much all there is to say about that. Now let's get on to the big thing. The big thing that just dropped today.
Number 2 trending on YouTube.
We have a brand new trailer for Godzilla -1, and I think they're actually pulling it off. Like, all the effects in this look super good, and it looks very accurate to photography I've seen of the period. I've watched a lot of World War II documentaries in my time, because I was that white kid. Yeah, this looks very accurate to how Japanese fashions and architecture looked around this time. And they're also going full Godzilla is scary. Be afraid of Godzilla. Like, one of the lines in this is literally, he will never forgive us for what we've done.
Oh, this is actually my first time watching the trailer because I tend to have time to see it before the podcast. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think I'm gonna cry from how beautiful it is. Whoa!
You really thought it couldn't get better than Shin Godzilla, but this looks like it might give that movie a run for its money.
Takashi Yamazaki. Oh, he's cooking. They're cooking. I wonder if there's going to be any other kaiju, because we only see Godzilla in this trailer, so...
Be interesting to see, and we don't have that long kaiju to wait.
Yeah, we don't, December 1st for Americans. Like, I do like Shin Godzilla, but I kind of feel like having 2 movies that's just Godzilla back-to-back is kind of lame, so I kind of hope there's, like, another kaiju to spice up the themes and fights.
Yeah,
eventually.
you kind of hoping they pull a 2014 because remember nobody knew about the MUTOs until like a week before the 2014 came out.
Yeah, so something like that. Yeah, just throw another kaiju in there. You know, you know you
Mm.
want to, Toho. You know you want to.
Throw in somebody useless and stupid who Godzilla can just slaughter, like a
Yeah.
frickin' Megalon or
Or just make a new one.
Anguirus.
Just make a new iconic kaiju that you can market the ever living
That's
hell out of.
true. It's been a long time since we've had a new Toho kaiju, so
Yeah. Anyway,
it's
very excited for -1. And I'm also excited to talk about all these new releases.
because that's all the news that's fit to print, folks. So Buster, let's get it going.
All right, Ultraman Blazar, Episode 8, The Rainbow Appears, Part 2. Gas, 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 gas.
I really liked this episode up until the last couple minutes.
Really?
Yep.
Explain.
There's no consequences for fucking Professor Man going off his rocker and trying to destroy Japan. They just let him off scot-free after he breaks out of it and ask him to sign the book. I'm like, this dude should at least get like a hearing or some shit.
I get that, but also the rest of the episode is so good I don't care.
That's fair. I mean, it is really solid. It continues on the themes from part 1 of like just delving into the themes of trying to find balance between man, nature, and kaiju. And I feel like it does that really well. I just don't like that after everybody argues at the professor for 20 minutes or whatever it is, they shoot the bands and then that's it. I really felt like it should have, instead of asking him to sign the book, second in command guy should have slapped a pair of cuffs on him.
Fair. I don't know. Like I just thought I was too invested by like the thematic speech like back and forth between the professor and the command. So just that was like, especially I watched the dub as I've mentioned multiple times, but that was a really good performance from all the dub actors. And just like the fact that like we finally see Ultra Space, you know, the little like where like when he's pulling out the new finisher.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's like it took us 8 episodes to finally see Ultra Space.
And how about that new finisher too?
Yeah,
hey, are you gonna fucking eat some crow for me real quick?
I'm eating crow.
You said that was gonna be just a thing for the scan.
I was fed misinformation, or just I was like I got confused. Okay, but like yeah, it's still a cool finisher. It's still a cool finisher.
Yeah, and I like how they make the naming of it a bit of a joke later on, because they're all like, Captain Gento said we should call it the Rainbow Slash. That's really corny. And it's like, they don't know. He fucking is Ultraman, so he literally knows what it's called.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. That's actually really brilliant. And just like the fact that they use that to introduce slicing back kaiju in half. Like, it's been a while since you've seen a good old kaiju slicing. So I'm like,
good old kaiju slicing, yes. Just like Grandma used to make.
Yeah. It's still like modernized, but I do love the confetti that pours out of the monster. Like, oh man, it's so good. Just a little. It's just a good episode, good expansion. This was a really good 2-parter. Very excited for the next few episodes of Blazar. Like, because it's if things are to believe, it's only heating up from here.
Yeah. Blazar, aside from a few minor stumbles here and there, has really been going hard from the get-go. And I am interested to see as we delve further and further into actually getting some story in this show beyond one-offs.
Yeah, but I think Ultraman's kind of built on one-offs, so it makes sense.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, new boy time.
New boy time.
Kamen Rider Gotchard, Episode 1. Gotcha, Hopper 1.
This is me eating crow.
I thought you were sucking on the microphone.
No, that's me making chopping noises, you fuck.
Sorry. Yeah. So like we're both eating crow today.
Yeah, because alright, let me put it this way. I still don't like the aesthetics of this show, but I think the character writing and the way they hint at a larger world here without just throwing it all right on you and giving us extreme first episode syndrome kind of won me over and made me like this show in a writing sense. I was going into this fully prepared to hate Hataro. Is that how you say his name? Hotaro. I was prepared to hate him. He seemed like a real weak sauce, gotta find his resolve some point in the show kind of protagonist. But no, he's a fucking good boy who wants to help people and is constantly arguing with female lead about like, no, let me help, I can help. I may not have powers, but I might be able to help in some other way until finally he becomes Kamen Rider.
Yeah, and like I love like people like I love sorry. Hotaro this on social media, but Hotaro is yeah. I'm short circuiting.
Oh, sorry, there was like a glitch on my end. It sounded like you blew out your mic for a second, but then you started talking like the Flash, and I think we just had a burp in the internet there.
Yeah, probably just an internet thing. I'm so sorry. I like the episode. I liked yeah. Like they're really setting up a lot of cool stuff. I love that Hotaro's a cook. Like and that like that's just a nice thing.
That's how we're introduced to him. Like, oh my god, that's how we come to know this character, and it immediately made me like him because he's just doing a common household task and being very pithy and fun and creative about it. And it made me go like, oh my god, if we're gonna be bringing back old early Heisei writers for the crossover movie again, it needs to either be fucking Agito or Kabuto.
Yeah, oh yeah, please Agito. I feel like Agito fans need to win. And I just his vibes. I really like that. Like it does the classic cliche like high school thing of you haven't picked what you want to do yet, and then like the Kamen Rider gives him his resolve thing, or just and that's
let me just fucking jump on that too, because that is executed so brilliantly. I remember like a big sticking point for a lot of people, including myself to a certain extent, with Zi-O was the fact that Sogo kept eschewing the idea of focusing on school and was just going, I'm just going to become a king. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to become a king. And the fact that like so many other characters in the show just looked at him like he was a crazy person, and then the show never really addressed that up until the finale. In this episode, everybody looks at him like he's looks at Hataro like he's crazy, and he kind of comes around to it and goes like, okay, yeah, I do need to find something. Maybe being Kamen Rider is that something, which makes so much fucking sense for a superhero show.
Yeah. And just like I hope like we get like a bit more, because like from what we've seen, the show is gonna have like a lot of supporting characters that aren't writers. So I hope we get like a bit more than just the writer stuff for his motivation. But that's just me. But like it's still like really cool so far. And I love like the Hasegawa mentioned in the postscript, like the blue like here's my notes on what I thought of the episode.
His blog post.
Yeah, blog post, dare I say. Like, the thing that Inoue and Shirakura did after every Dawn Brothers episode. That he too much in this episode, but the moments we do get with her are very much like, okay, this character is kind of like just doing their thing. They need to learn to be a bit more flexible. Like Hotaro needs a bit more direction while she needs a bit more flexibility. So they're gonna learn those things from each other.
Yeah, and I hope that becomes like a strong thematic core of the show. Like I know it's probably gonna be Valard, but I want her to be the secondary writer. Like, I want her to get a belt in 10 episodes or so, and I want us to build towards that.
Yeah, like a build. Yeah. But I could see Valvard, like, because Night Rogue was the 4th writer in build. So I could see Valvard being, like, a rival, like, either Tetrary or... Because Valvard's technically not a writer. And also, we don't even see Valvard in this episode. So
yeah, that was the other thing. There's so many characters from the trailer who either aren't in this episode at all or barely appear in this episode. And that made me so happy. Because remember, when the trailer came out, I was going... Oh god, the first episode is just going to be exposition constantly, and I'm going to hate it.
Yeah, you eat a crow more, man.
Yeah, no, they let our main characters breathe here and just kind of gave us little tantalizing hints at what the rest of this world is. And I know a lot of it is probably going to get dumped on us next episode, but I'm still in this moment of like, okay, I'm interested in this world now. It's not getting forced on me. I want to learn more next week.
Yeah. I also like the villains. Like, I love how like they basically are the monsters of the week. They just take the hot chemis that are
Yes.
forming around, and that becomes their armor. That's a neat concept.
Yeah, that was kind of innovative feeling actually. I can't think of another Toku that does that with the main villains.
Yeah,
And it
it kind of reminded me of like another Hasegawa show, Dyna Zenon, where like each one like each of the kaiju eugenicists. I'm kind of not. This isn't a spoiler for Dyna Zenon, Vac, but like they're kind of like they use their power to summon a kaiju with themselves, and like that kind of I don't know.
Also, is it just me or for the I forget what it was called, but like the chemi space where the Steam Boy goes, did it look
Yeah.
like they were using some volume there?
No, I think that just looks like the usual typical transformation green screen.
Okay. Okay.
I also do like the transformation of like how both chemis like go into like a boiling pit. I know some people have compared it to a Sentai transformation, and it kind of is, but it's a cool one. Damn it!
Yeah, I don't love stock footage transformations in my writer, but it's not the worst I've seen. And
We got little X-Aid vibes with the whole like, oh, he's a CGI bug at first.
little bit. Also, did you notice where that CGI model comes from?
It looks familiar.
It's a repurposed Revice model. It's one of the we're gonna Revi and Vice are gonna merge together to make a CGI thing
Yeah, it
models.
does look like one of those, or just like it also gave me vibes of Zero One's Rising Hopper
Mhm.
CG.
I hope that's not a regular thing because oddly, I thought the CGI on the Kemi themselves looked fine, but on that it was a little egregious.
That's yeah, that's right. Well, then again, the chemis are going to be more important to the show, so it's more important to make them like likable and like make them look good.
Yeah, which
And
by the way, I'm so glad they went the Pokemon route of just having them say their name in a cute or entertaining way than giving them full characterization. Because, like, that could have made it get really bogged down on how many
yeah,
characters the show is juggling. And it immediately endears you to them. Like, I know Hopper 1 is going to be everybody's favorite, but I was friggin' busting a gut at Steamliner, just constantly shouting, Steam!
yeah, I love the train. Love the train guy is so cool. I'm sorry if I've been stumbling over my words, but I generally really like this episode.
Yeah,
It's like it doesn't give you too much, but it gives you enough to where I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to
yeah.
get
It's
charged.
funny. I still don't love the suits, but I like the way they filmed them. The fight was very dynamic and bombastic,
Oh
and the
yeah.
character writing is strong enough that I kind of don't care. I don't like the suits. It even endears me to the suits a little bit because it's that character inside of it.
Yeah. Did
Which
you
is
notice any wizard vibes? Not just because of the alchemy, but like I just generally feel like especially the talk of human malice, kind of gave me a bit of wizard vibes.
Not really. I actually didn't love that line. I felt like that line was a bit too flowery for that character to be saying. I felt like it should have been dumbed down like, oh yeah, I did get like a dark vibe from them rather than incomprehensible malice. It's radiating malice. I was like, that
Well,
doesn't sound like something a high schooler would say. I'm sorry.
yeah, well, no, the villain said the malice line. Remember?
No, no, no. They say something about Malice, and then later, just before he transforms, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting her name, but
Rin.
Rin. Yes. How do I keep forgetting the name Rin? That's like the simplest Japanese name there is. Rin says, "Oh, they're using malice to control the Kemi and pollute them or something like that," and Hataro goes, yeah, I felt it. Malice. It's radiating incomprehensible malice. And I'm like, if I was writing a high schooler, I'd have him say, Malice? Yeah, I got a really angry vibe off of her just now, or something like
And
that.
that's more of a taste issue, and like I'd say, like they still want to keep it like they want to keep the overall concept of malice in your head, like for like
Yeah.
future. Because I tell you, Asagawa has a lot to say about humanity, so
Mhm.
yeah, they're already building to that.
Also, I think the only wizard vibe I got is just like much like White Wizard, I don't think it's supposed to be a mystery for the audience at all who Hataro's dad is.
Yeah.
You're supposed to get it right away. Oh, his face is being covered, but there's a male figure old enough to be his dad all throughout the episode.
Yeah.
I think that's just going to be a reveal for him and Rin down the line.
Yeah, I'll probably be like episode 16, like Christmas time. We'll get it because Ryder usually doesn't like to put mysteries for too long these days.
Yeah. But overall, it was a really solid first episode, and it's got me much more optimistic about Gotchard than I was going into it.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad it won you over. And I'm sorry that I stumbled over all my words.
It's fine.
I was just really excited.
I'm glad you're excited.
Yeah, I'm glad it was good. I was kind of worried for a bit there. I was like, is it going to be good? I was like, no, worried for a good time this year.
Also, because it's me, I do have to mention, oh man, they knew what they had, casting Amazon's lady as the berserker of the villains.
Yeah, she was pretty cool.
She was radiating that fanboy bait energy.
All right, King-Ohger time.
Yes, that's the last thing I had to say.
Episode 27, Invasion of the Galactic Insect King. I thought this episode was kind of messy, but I liked it anyway.
Yeah, this felt like what I was worried the Gotchard pilot was gonna be. There's a lot of concepts that are just kind of thrown at us, and you just kind of have to go with. A lot of it is not given the time to breathe it needs, except appropriately enough, given the episode title, the introduction of the villain gives us enough time that I can kind of get my head around it.
The villains were my favorite part of the episode, definitely. And I was really excited based on the preview of like all the teleportation the main guy was gonna do, and I'm in love with him. Oh, he's so cool. Already.
Yeah, remember
really
last week I was saying I thought the suit was kind of messy and bad. It's another case of the character is strong enough that it kind of won me over on the suit. I love how he's constantly dipping his translucent head into the camera.
Yeah, and it's like he's basically a combination of the anti-spiral from Gurren Lagann and like the freaking like Evil from Kamen Rider Build to me. Where
that,
he's just like,
and he's giving me vibes of like some of the scarier cosmic Marvel and DC characters.
Yeah, I mean, he does play a lot of cosmic horror. I mean, Gira almost dies of breath thanks to his teleportation. And it's like, oh man, they really do. Oh, I really hope this villain lasts for a long time and he doesn't get like burked in a few episodes because, they have something. They have something with this guy.
Was it just me, or did you think your episode file was broken for a second there when Gira couldn't breathe? I was like, wait, what's going on? Why is it quiet? Shit!
I kind of figured we're in the vastness of space because of Gira's like mouth movement and just like the overall environment. But yeah, I can understand that. But like, oh my god, like that villain really cool. I really like the little. I kind of wish they got to we had a whole arc of them taking over the kingdoms for a while because it felt like we blazed through like 10 episodes in like once with the whole the half of the King-Ohgers are in prison, the other guys are taking over. And then they get it back by the end of the episode. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, Chief.
It's weird because I don't know how you tell that story in the weekly Super Sentai action format, but there should have been a web special or a freaking manga that goes this is, and there probably will be at some point if this show does well enough, a manga filling in the 2-year gap. Because it's literally just they're all in jail and their retainers have taken over because of what they did. Oh, what did they do? And then it's a joke at the end. And all the jokes make sense, but it's still I wouldn't have played it that way, Chief.
Yeah, I kind of liked how they made it a joke where it's it's still Sentai. It's not going to be too... It kind of plays the whole time skip as... Yeah, this is just a marketing thing. Don't worry. Where I kind of appreciate when stories do that. I like when Inoue does it for his form introductions, where it's just a marketing thing. The story's still continuing. But overall, I did dig it overall. But I know there is some parts where it felt a bit messy and rushed, and I'm like, there's a lot of story potential that you just kind of threw away just there. How do we feel about? We already talked about everyone's new fits when they first got announced. So.
Yeah, they're looking fine. I was more just I think the most interesting visual thing about this episode is just looking at how the retainers look after the time skip.
Yeah, like freaking the Himeno's butler got all gluttonous.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
love
love that
this.
Morphonia is basically unchanged.
Yeah. And I also love Kaguragi's retainer, who's just like, especially the scene where he goes, "Oh, Kaguragi's gone," and they all go boo hoo hoo. It's like, I don't know. I just find
That was incredibly on brand.
yeah.
And I forget his name, but Yama's retainer. I actually really like his future fit. It looks much more like what I'd expect somebody from that kingdom to be wearing, rather than the crazy hacker shit they usually have them wearing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think he was like the only one of the retainers who like didn't really get all gluttonous. He's still like because he is part of the bros, so he's just still looking out for everyone.
Yeah, he was like, "This sucks. I can't do anything without Yama. We need to get Yama back from the jump."
Yeah, and where like everyone else is just indulging in the kingdom, like the kingdom lifestyle.
Mhm. Also, I realized I saw somebody point this out. I should say on the Tumblr. We don't see Kaguragi's sister at all this episode. Makes me wonder if she's up to something or if they're just dropping that character going forward.
They're probably working on a new fit for her, and they're probably because next episode is kind of going back to basic episode by episode stuff. So it's like she'll appear eventually. And it's like I feel like there's only so many character reintroductions and introductions in this episode. Do we really need more?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of shit and a lot of fuck.
Yeah, and it's mostly good, but it kind of ends up a bit messier. Like I'm not as enthused about the time skip now, but I'm still like interested.
Yeah, bit mid, comparatively speaking, but not the worst. I guess pilot I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is basically a second pilot for King-Ohger. I didn't watch anything this week, and if I did, I mean, any Toku. I did watch things, but like not Toku, unless Shrek Retold 2 counts as a Toku, but I don't think it does.
So, is there a live action portion where somebody wears a Shrek costume?
There are many live action portions.
All right, how was Shrek Retold?
Oh my god, it was great. It's not out officially yet. We technically watched an unfinished cut of the movie, so some of the animated segments had like storyboards or just not finished animation. But I was still interested to see. It will come out to the public eventually. But yeah, I think y'all.
How was Quentin Reviews' cameo on it?
Yeah, I can see why they wanted to make him a big producer because his cameo was actually pretty well done.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't watch that, but I have already finished The Decay of Sam and Cat. So.
I still haven't started that yet. I should.
It's really good. I actually think it's the best one he's made since the first iCarly video.
Ooh, I will definitely check it out eventually then.
Yeah, but that's enough YouTuber talk. Let's get back into some Toku talk. I only watched 3 more episodes of Kamen Rider 1971 this week because it's been a bit of a weird week. End of the month / beginning of the next one, I've got a bunch of extra stuff stacked onto what I would normally have in a week going on. But what I watched was all right. The introduction of Gelshocker is pretty neat. I like General Black, how he's basically just a regular dude in a goofy general's outfit. And the Gelshocker grunts, not so much. I think I honestly am of the opinion that the design of the grunts in 1971 just get progressively worse as the series goes on. Because I really like the original face painted Scary Boys, and then the combat men. I don't hate them. I have a respect for them as an iconic part of the franchise, but they're not exactly my thing. And then the Gelshocker grunts. They look like knockoff Super Sentai action figures.
Yeah, I don't love the Gelshocker grunts.
But there's been some fairly solid storytelling. I like that they made the introduction of Gelshocker a 2-parter with an actual cliffhanger. I like that they, I guess, inspired Batman going sane with that episode as well. Yeah, just been some solid character stuff, although I'm starting to get antsy because I still haven't seen Hayato in like 10 fucking episodes. I want my photography boy back already, damn it.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. Also, I opened a couple SH Figure Arts on a live stream this week. So, hey, at the Vacuuminator on YouTube, go check out the live stream from last week if you haven't. SHF Ultraman Reboot is okay. I don't love him as much as I thought I was going to, mainly because the proportions of the chest are a little bit odd, and I had a real hard time getting his color timer to stay in at first because it's a swappable part. You can have it be blue or red as you would want. And the grips for it are just a little bit too thin, so I had to thicken them up with some floor polish. And the hand swaps are properly classically infuriating Figure Arts hand swaps. I'm talking like it took me like 6 tries every time to get a new hand to go on to that peg. And it's very irritating, especially when most of his optional parts of weapons and whatnot require a specific hand to go on to him. Like the shield has a hand molded onto it that you're just supposed to peg on, which is really hard to coordinate, though not quite as hard as the beam effect that is molded to an alternate hand and is so pointy it instantly tore through the plastic baggie I put it in when I was storing the figure, and also repeatedly poked into my hand and drew blood when I was trying to put it on. Not really loving that figure. I was able to get into a couple of really cool poses, but man, taking photos of that is not something I'm looking forward to because of how much of a pain in the ass it was. Conversely, though, Shinchoku Seiho Kamen Rider Skull is a bit of a step up. Obviously, it's a Shinchoku Seiho, so it looks a lot more better proportionately. It's my first time messing around with the double body, and I always loved the base design of the double suits. It's just a good generic armored superhero costume, I think. And obviously, for reasons I've talked about on this channel a lot, I have wanted a figure of Skull for a long, long time. So to finally get one and mess around with it for a little bit was pretty satisfying. I do have a few minor problems with it in that, like, the hat doesn't really secure onto him at all. You kind of have to pose him and then plop the hat onto him in whatever pose you've gotten him in, because it doesn't grip the head whatsoever. It will slip right off at the slightest provocation. And also the wrist joints, I completely forgot this was a thing with Figure Arts for a little while, but the wrist joints have a weird tolerance thing where when you go to swap the hand, the entire wrist joint will come out with the hand. And you have to pull the hand out of the wrist joint, plug the wrist joint back into the forearm, and then plug the new hand onto the wrist joint. And it was apparently intentional too, from what I've been able to gather. It's not the worst thing in the world, and like actually getting the hands onto the wrist joint isn't nearly as infuriating as it is with Reboot, but it's just kind of a weird little quirk of the design. And also the frickin' the Gaia memory. I lost it for about a day and a half because I forgot I had left it in the belt, and I was just posing him around one night, and suddenly I heard a little clatter, and I looked down, and the Gaia memory was gone, and it had been eaten by the carpet monster, even though it was right next to the leg of my desk, and I just thought that was like a shred of a candy wrapper for a couple days because it's a small, tiny little colored piece of plastic that I could inhale if I'm not careful with. So that thing is living in the accessory baggie for the rest of its life.
Damn.
But overall, pretty satisfying figures. Just they each have their own unique quirks and challenges, which is what I'm used to with Figure Arts at this point. As I've said, like, I'm nowhere near as in love with Figure Arts as the typical Figure Arts collector is. I think they're cool, but they have enough problems with them that it keeps me from, like, constantly buying them. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about those. So, I guess that's the end of the show. Buster, why don't you tell everybody where they can find your content?
Hi, I'm Buster Corp. I do videos on youtube.com at Buster Corp. I don't know what I'm doing this week, but I'm gonna do something. So watch out. And I already have a video on King-Ohger and Geets from like last week. I think they're good videos. So check those out. Check out all my other videos. Also at Bluesky at Buster Corp at blue just Buster Corp. Just search up Buster Corp. You'll be fine. Yeah. That's all I got.
All right. Well, I am the Backhuminator. I make YouTube videos. They're things I'm fairly proud of. I got a video on a tokusatsu thing, a property I might have touched on earlier in the podcast, even coming out in just a couple of days on my channel at the Backhuminator. I also have a TikTok where I post clips of my older videos. That's at the _Backhuminator. I have an Instagram where I post daily action figure photography. That's at the _Backhuminator. I also have a Bluesky where I tend to aggregate all my content and post some random thoughts throughout the week. That's at thebackhuminator.bsky.social. And I have a Tumblr where I do Tumblr things. That's thebackhuminator.tumblr.com. And that's the end of the show, everyone. That's all for this week in Tokusatsu. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you back here next week for whatever happens that week in Tokusatsu.